So we're going to let Steph take it away in a second here with this panel, but we'll do a quick little introduction first. So yeah, I'm really excited for this panel. It's all about starting a business in different parts of Canada. All the folks we have out here today are representing 4 different provinces, different incubators and accelerators across the country. Steph is here representing a venture capital firm here in PEI that she'll talk a lot more about, but they all have really great insights into the startup world, and I'm really excited to hear what comes out of this today. Steph has a lot of good questions that are going to lead to some pretty cool actionable items coming out of this. So again, send questions in through the chat if you have them, but it's going to be pretty interesting, I think. So yeah, I'll go through and quickly introduce folks, but I know Steph's going to do some more in-depth introductions after. So yeah, we have Doug Jones here today, who is the CEO of Ignite Atlantic. Doug, if you want to just give a little wave.
Hi, everybody.
Hey. And then, so we also have Valerie Fox, who's the Chief Innovation Consultant at the Pivotal Point. We have Alicia Grayeb, who is the Program Manager, Startup Services at Venn Innovation. And then we have Mohamed Elabshihy, who is the Associate Venture and Corporate Programs at Mars Discovery District in Toronto. So I'm super excited to have all you folks here today. I'm going to pass it over to Steph. And yeah, again, I'd recommend putting it in speaker view so we see folks one at a time and send questions in through the chat. Take it away, folks.
Awesome. Time for me?
Yep.
Interesting. I can't see myself when I go into speaker mode, Rach. That's odd. Okay. So as Rachel said, I'm Stefanie Corbett. I work with Island Capital Partners, which is a venture fund based here in Prince Edward Island, and actually work out of the startup zone all the time. So I work with Rachel and Pat and Aaron and the team on a regular basis. So today's panel is, so you want to start a business. When Rach asked if I would help moderate this panel, I was an immediate yes, because it's something that's a pretty near and dear to me, the whole entrepreneurship space. And also interesting today, I think on the panel, the people that we have, everyone's coming at it from different views and very different backgrounds. But the one thing that we all share in common is we have all spent most of our life around entrepreneurs, have been entrepreneurs ourselves, and or dedicate all of our time right now to helping push entrepreneurs forward. So I would have to say is, so you want to start your business. And most people have been on this call, they've all been there or there now, which means that they've all experienced the, oh crap, this is super scary, it's super intimidating. I like to think of it as very exciting. And instead of people looking at it as something that's full of risk, I think of it as full of opportunity, as well as being able to kind of have control over your own future. So what we're going to do today is jump into all of that from the different perspectives of the panelists. So what we'll do to just kick things off is I'm going to get each of you to give an introduction, just a brief introduction on who you are, your background, specifically how it connects into the startup space, entrepreneurship. And maybe we'll just try to keep it under 2 minutes for everyone. So Doug, you're first in my view, so I'm going to go with you first.
I'm first. All right.
You're first, just for this question. Don't get used to it. No.
Sounds good. So I'm Doug Jones. I'm the CEO of Ignite Atlantic. My background is really varied, but mostly in pro sports marketing. And I have a licensing company that we do sports product development and licensing to major international brands like Wilson Sporting Goods, Louisville Slugger, Pro Performance Sports, and others. And I kind of built that all from rural Nova Scotia. And I have a number of other startup companies as well, but Ignite was founded to help other entrepreneurs kind of do the same thing I was doing in rural communities throughout Nova Scotia. And we've grown. We've got 2 major facilities in Pictou County, Nova Scotia, and also in Yarmouth County. And really my focus is to share as much resource as I can with new startups, but also work with industry like the seafood sector, forestry, innovation, and other sectors to help them evolve and innovate in traditional industries. So that's a bit about me.
Thank you. There was a lot of leading things that we'll use to go into further conversations after this, but all right, I'll leave it there for now. Val, you're next up.
Okay, gotta unmute. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. A little background. I've been in user experience design for a very long time. I started my own business in that. I've been in digital since the 80s. I worked at IBM. I have multiple patents. I was creative director for Sydney Olympics and that kind of stuff. I guess why I'm so interested in entrepreneurship is I helped start the DMZ. I founded the DMZ, which is a world famous incubator in Toronto. And about 5 years ago, I started a business called The Pivotal Point, where I'm helping to grow incubators and accelerators around the world. I'm a mentor, I'm a coach. I coach a lot of executives and founders. I'm also recently, last year actually, I really got into futures thinking design, which I think has been super helpful for when I'm mentoring and coaching the different founders and executives. So I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody and learning from this panel. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks very much. And Alicia.
Hi, everyone. What I'm doing right now is that I'm at Venn Innovation, which is in New Brunswick, and I run the incubator for tech entrepreneurs, which sometimes means that they just have to have a tech-enabled idea, but they don't necessarily just need to be developing software. So we deal with social entrepreneurship, clean tech, fintech, what have you. A bit of my background is that from a young age, I was very involved with my parents' business. It was very hands-on, and I learned a lot about customer service and satisfaction there. And I also learned about how to budget and manage inventories. Then I moved to the UK, where I studied business and sustainability, which prompted me to, after graduating from a master's, to work for a clean tech incubator in Mexico, where I helped develop the Young Leaders of the Americas initiative, which is part of the Obama Foundation. And then led me to be here where I am in Venn. Very excited to be with everyone.
Thank you. And Mohamed.
Awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Mohamed or Mo. I'm an associate on the Knowledge and Insights team here at Mars Discovery District, based in Toronto. For those that might not have heard about Mars, we're an innovation hub, and we support startups across Canada. We help them grow and scale by offering a variety of services, and really work with ventures across multiple stages. So anything from very early on, and so starting to get some customer traction to 5 million plus and on track to keep scaling. I've been at Mars for a little over 2 years now, and my role really focuses on developing, designing, and building high impact programs for entrepreneurs, and really helping them address some of the most common challenges they face. A bit about my background. So I moved here from Egypt in 2013. I studied at Ryerson. That's where I kind of got exposed to the DMZ, and Val, really excited to chat a bit more about that. And the DMZ does a lot of great work around entrepreneurship. So after graduating, I tried to stay in the space and kind of got into Mars through there. So yeah, excited to be here.
Very cool. Awesome. So we're going to dig right into this. How I would say, from what I'm seeing with entrepreneurs, and have always seen this honestly, is entrepreneurs talk about it's a lonely game, right? It's different when you're typically working in a corporate structure and you have a team around you, especially when you're a founder and you're in that founding team or CEO of the company. It's lonely, and what's critical are the resources around you and the networks that are there. So what I find interesting about all of you that are on this panel is you all fit into that space in terms of offering support, resources, or a network. So I'm going to throw it out to the group, and we'll get into a bit of a dialogue. So I'm sure we'll get off key on this, but what are common questions that you're seeing with the entrepreneurs that you're dealing with right now, that you're working with? And I guess what I'm trying to get at here is, we're all in different areas geographically. We're dealing with entrepreneurs at different levels. And, and the nut of it all is, I feel like it's so repetitive. Like it's a different face, but with a similar problem all the time. So I'm curious if that's just what I'm seeing, or I'd love to get feedback on what you're seeing and what those common questions are that you're being asked, and where the gaps are the most with the entrepreneurs that you're coaching with. So Val, I'm going to jump in with you and let you get into this first.
Sure, thanks for that question. And I gave it some thought, and Honestly, I think the answer is networks. People need access to people who have been there, done that, or also those people who are futures thinking. So what are they looking towards? It's about getting clients and customers and expertise and possible partnerships. So that's the question I get. Those types of questions, those are the ones that I get all the time. Who do you know? Who can you put me in touch with? Do you know somebody over here or there? That kind of stuff.
Very interesting. And Alicia, what about you?
Well, for me, it's a bit of I don't know how to put this. First of all, one of the few questions that I get the most is, how do I talk to investors? I need money. How do I get money? And when sometimes it's just a little bit of, how about you're your first investor? Like, how about you start doing loans to your own company and show them that you believe in your own company, right? Because if you do, then you'll build trust, and then people are gonna trust your own company too and help you, might be interested and invest in it. But also, I say bootstrap as much as you can, because you need to remember that nothing comes for free. Sometimes it's also just the other way around. Startups don't ask enough questions. I don't know if it's part of the region where we are, or if it's just Canadian nature, but I'm like, please ask, be assertive, be proactive, ask. We're here for you. Like, if you're not sure about anything, if you just want to brainstorm ideas, you want to get second opinions, just ask and you shall get answers.
That's very interesting. I would agree. Like, I think quite often it's absolutely companies saying, like, they'll reach out to me and want to have conversations to dig into this. How do I talk to investors? But they're always really surprised when I ask, like, about like how much they've talked to potential customers. I get this look of surprise, and like, and really going into that discovery mode, whether it be like looking towards investment, but also looking towards who your potential customers are and what they're telling you. That's very interesting. Yes.
Stefanie, I'm glad that you said
Mohamed?
that. I'm just going to jump in because
everyone can.
Because when Alicia was saying that, that's the question she gets, and your answer was just so right on, because I usually ask, what do you need the money for, as opposed to don't talk about I need money. Say, what do you need it for? And a lot of times you actually don't necessarily need money. You need something else. What is that? Yeah. And how can you bootstrap? The more you bootstrap, the more solid your business is.
It's absolutely true. Like, I've had that conversation with too, and like, we're trying to invest in companies. We want to, give money, but I often find I'm having those conversations around, well, what is your necessary spend to get to that next stage? Like, how much do you really need? And it's really interesting because I feel like it seems to be people are really overestimating what they need or underestimating based on their space, but it's really challenging. It seems to be a large challenge for people to really hit it on of what they really need and link that connected to key milestones that they plan to reach. And it's very interesting. And the four of you jump in whenever. I love that. That's great. Mohamed?
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely relate to the question about funding their business. We get that quite often. One of the most common questions I receive from earlier stage ventures is around prioritization. So when you start your business, it feels like there's a million things to do at once. And really, what's the most important thing to focus on? And I think the biggest piece of advice we try to give is to be agile, to really don't spend all of your time kind of building your product behind closed doors, but launch an MVP, get it in the hands of your customers quickly. You really iterate based on feedback and move quickly. And like that loop of building, measuring, and learning is I think is critical early on, especially when you have a lot of things to do. So big fan of the lean methodology in general, and I think for early stage ventures especially, it's super useful.
Absolutely, definitely. Ask all along the way. I can't agree more. Doug, you've been on both sides of this coin, so I'm curious what you think about this.
Well, I think the funding thing is interesting because we get that a lot, but most people that come in to see me are asking where the free money is. And
definitely,
you have to first of all say there is no free money. There's strings attached to every dollar that comes in. But
Yeah.
That's often a challenge. A lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with are really small startups. So they're, 1 to 3 person operations. So they have a lot of questions about building the right team, and how to capitalize on assets of different individuals. But they also, I think they struggle. I like Mo's statement about picking a target and trying to work on those things, because I find a lot of these startups, especially in inventing physical products, which is a lot of what I do, they have paralysis by analysis. They tend to do nothing and worry about everything. And what I often say to them is build something. I don't care if you build it out of Play-Doh, but you have to take action. You have to work on the MVP. But a lot of them are there's a lot of fear in starting. I think everybody had great points, because building that network of resources, mentorship is a huge important part for these new startups, and they struggle with fear. They don't want to take chances. They don't want to invest in themselves. They don't want to put their own money in, like Alicia said. And I say you've got to have skin in the game. You've got to start by building something, and I've done that. I save all my prototypes, the ugly little things that I built, that I brought to market, because I like to show them that it just didn't become that final product that you see on sporting goods shelves. You have to start with customer discovery and understanding what the issues are that you're trying to solve. Many of them think that customers are themselves. They think everybody's like them, and it's a terrible way to start, because they often run into real walls that they hit when they start to try and sell their product or start to get feedback. They realize they designed for themselves rather than their customer. So those are kind of the main issues that I hear. Every entrepreneur walking through the door has the exact same. They start with free money, then they expand from there. So
that's true. It's very true. So you said something that I'm going to just go into this topic for a second, but you said about like Val touched on networks. I think everyone did. The network is really important, and then mentorship. And I'm a huge believer in this. But what I often hear from very early stage entrepreneurs is they're trying to navigate this all out is like the old term mentor whiplash. So there is a lot of help and there's a lot of people around, but I hear early stage entrepreneurs, like they definitely are victim of mentor whiplash a little bit and struggle because they have a lot of different opinions coming at them. So I'd be curious for each of your thoughts or just any advice from what you could offer on that for any entrepreneurs that are listening, because I think a lot experience this, and then it becomes almost like, who do I listen to? And I don't want to get it wrong.
I think you have to interview your mentors. You can't believe everything that people are saying. I always take the approach of, it's my interview. You're fighting for the job of mentoring me. I know that's a weird way to put it, but I think not every mentor is meant to be part of your business. It is overwhelming. There's too many mentors, and there's too many people that profess to be experts, and then if you dig into it, they're trying to get something out of these entrepreneurs financially or whatever, and it's a dangerous space. So you have to have a really methodical approach to who becomes your mentor, and not to have too many of them, because then the messaging is conflicting between mentors.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
That's what I would approach. Yeah.
I actually really what Startup Zone, when I was talking to Patrick, they had created this whole coach thing. So the coach that acts as a GP, meaning a general practitioner, doctor kind of thing. So really looks at the overall health of the entrepreneur. I think it's an awesome way to approach this. And then you have a set of experts on the side who are there to call upon when you need them. And I love that. And I've actually now working with many incubators and accelerators with that exact model. It really works quite well. And then the other thing to suggest is the whole peer-to-peer mentoring thing. Honestly, when you're around other entrepreneurs and you see that they're in the same mess, they might not even be in the same type of business, but they are going through the same stages that you might be in. If you could become part of founder circles, I'm in a number of founder circles. They are invaluable to me as an entrepreneur. And we get into the nub of it. We're not looking for necessarily advice. What we're looking for is different experiences to shed light on what decisions that we could make.
Yeah, jumping in on that one too. I think it's also find a mentor whose values align with yours. What is the sector that you want to go into? Do they know about it? Where have they gone through? Because it makes no sense if you're into social entrepreneurship to then talk to someone that is into deep tech, for example. They're probably not going to understand the nature of your business. They're going to try to give you the best advice as they can, but just find someone that you can talk to that has even the same hobbies or same interests, because then you know that the options or support that you're going to get are more in line to where you want to take your business.
Agree. Mohamed, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna add excellent points mentioned by everyone. I really like Doug's point about being selective with when it comes to mentors, because definitely agree that there could be too much out there at times. It's kind of finding that point where you got enough advice that aligns, you're able to use it. But really having that network of experts. I think Val mentioned that Startup Zone has this, but the network of experts with different kind of areas of expertise and being able to tap into those at different stages of your company. I think that model is by far one of the most effective, because it's hard to find someone that knows everything, and throughout your journey, you're going to need different expertise at different points in time. So so definitely leverage that as much as you can.
Definitely. Someone within our team at Island Capital, his words always sit on the back of my shoulder as like, everyone has an opinion on something, but you want to make sure as an entrepreneur that you're talking to people who they don't just have an opinion, they know what they're talking about. So if someone's talking about sales, they best have sold, or if someone's talking about developing, they better have developed, or if it's getting a device to market, again, just everyone has opinions, but there's a lot of people giving their opinions like it's a fact when it's really just a thought. Very interesting. All right, so I kind of want to launch off of that and get into this, because this is kind of growing on what we've said, but because if everyone is in different geographical areas, but everyone is in this space, I'd love to get the thoughts on this. In short, there are a ton of resources available for entrepreneurs in this country. We're very fortunate. Entrepreneurs are very fortunate. There is a ton of non-dilutive money. We won't get into what we think if that's good or bad today, but there are a lot of resources available. So what I'd really like to do is get everyone's thoughts on what are some good resources that are out there, versus even if I would appreciate if there's some comments of some that you would say that you're seeing aren't as helpful. But what I really want to get to the nut of is, we've done really good to this point, I think, as a country, of setting, a foundation for entrepreneurs. But where can we go next? What can we do to grow off of that? So we know, and our government is supporting or allocating money to the right places that are truly making a difference. Who wants to start first? All right, Doug, I'll make you start first.
Doug's first again. I agree with you. There's a lot of great programs. I think the government of Canada has done great things. I think our provincial governments have some good programs. One of the challenges, though, is as an entrepreneur is there's lack of awareness of these programs or resources, or even who to talk to about them. So you almost need an intermediate mechanism of some type to help navigate those systems. And I think a lot of times the entry point for some of those programs is a little further down the road. They're not geared towards a brand new startup with a new idea. So there's a gap there in some of these programs. But some of the resources that I find useful, and we're starting to see more and more of them, they're evolving. In my facilities, I tend to put prototyping equipment, whether it's 3D printing, CNC machines, things like this, because of the physical product nature. Those resources are highly sought after because they're very expensive equipment that isn't readily available. But now we're starting to see more maker spaces and things like that around the country. I just find that there's the entry point for those maker spaces and stuff. A lot of these entrepreneurs don't know how to use that type of equipment. So there's a bit of a gap there too. So I think, we are doing well, but there's a lot of little pockets. And I have more of a rural focus because that's where I base most of my facilities. In those rural communities, they don't have the same access as metropolitan areas like Halifax or Moncton or wherever, because the government organizations tend to be located in those areas. So what I'm trying to do is drag those individuals or organizations out of the metro locations into the rural communities. I think we can do a better job of awareness and connection in some of our rural locations. That's a more biased view, but
that's all right.
That's one of the gaps that I see currently.
Interesting. Val, your hand is up. I love it.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to stretch on what Doug was talking about. And so I really liked what he was saying is what's difficult is there's so much information and where do you start? And Doug, you were also talking about fear, and it's actually one of those things of how do we help people help themselves to get stuff done? Yesterday, I was actually interviewing Chris Rickett from Toronto. So Chris Rickett is someone who's fairly well known in Toronto because of what he's been doing for COVID, really helping entrepreneurs during COVID time. And he's been working with our mayor to get that done. Well, he was suggesting something for the future of resourcing. And what he's trying to do is getting governments to be more proactive on how to contain the various resources that cities can have to help entrepreneurs. Basically, what he calls it business in a box. What is it that you need to get certain types of businesses happening as soon as possible? And I thought that that was a really awesome idea. And so that's what he's looking to do, and that's what he's stimulating. And government, not so much, they, of course, to support, but also to stimulate different businesses that could be happening in the city. And one other thing I wanted to add to this was it's something that happened during COVID, which is the helplist.ca. The helplist.ca is a place where people could go, those people who lost jobs, because of, some of the startups kind of had to fold or had to just be on hold for a while. So there were a lot of people that were looking for work at a time. They added their names to the helplist.ca. And now all of a sudden, this is a great resource for people to look for the help that they need as they're starting to grow their business.
Awesome. Thanks, Val. That's really good. Helpless.ca. I made a note of it. I'm going to check that out. Alicia?
Thank you. I think it's a bit of two things. We have a lot of resources, physical resources out there, but people too. And it's touching a little bit more into the mentorship. Find a mentor that is going to be there for you. We have a lot that are out here. Mm-hmm. We can offer help them with, not only just help with their term sheets, so if they want to know their financials, etc., but find someone that's going to help you talk the tough talk. Where are you? How's your personal journey going? What are your leadership skills like? Do the team value what you're saying? Do they see you as a leader? Not just a boss, but a leader. And I think equally valuable is to make sure that all the resources that you tap into are the right ones for you. Don't just go for the, look at this new CRM platform that's offering me an amazingly scam because I'm a first-year startup. And then all of a sudden, next year, you don't even have sales and you're hooked with paying thousands of dollars for something that it's very difficult to migrate your data later on to another platform. And also your data now belongs, for example, all to the US. I think our entrepreneur in residence here at Venn is doing an amazing job in sharing with our startups an internal secure platform that is all self-hosted here in Canada, and it helps them build their own structure as well, because it lays the foundations of what needs to go in your business plan, what do you need, where do your term sheets go, etc. And it's in a safe way, because then they know that the data belongs to them and it has a lot less potential for hacking. So it would be just in like, make sure that the resources you tap into are the right ones for you that you need, and that it's not going to cost you more in the long run because you found something that you thought was very exciting.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you. I think it is key around finding the right mentors for you. Absolutely. And Mohamed.
For sure.
So you're always at the end.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's just where you fall on my top bar.
Yeah.
That's all.
No, for sure, for sure. I enjoy going at the end after hearing everyone's great ideas too. So that's it's benefits for me. But in terms of resources in Ontario, I was going to say I think it's great that across Canada we've really built a powerful kind of ecosystem to support entrepreneurs. Looking at Ontario specifically, we have 17 different regional innovation centers that are kind of spread out across the province. And they're meant to help different entrepreneurs in different geographic regions through advisory, peer-to-peer sessions, programming, and so on. For a specific resource that, again, I'm definitely biased towards Mars's resources, but one that we have available online is the Startup Toolkit. So it's a combination of articles, videos, templates, online courses. If you want like a term sheet template or a shareholders agreement, we've put that all onto a website at learn.marsdd.com. And it's really meant to be accessible to the public. So not just Mars Ventures, but really anyone, anywhere looking to start a business. And I think that's great because we get global traction there. We're able to not only support kind of our portfolio of companies, but to a certain extent, we're able to support others as well. And even before joining Mars, I enrolled in one of the courses on there and learned a lot about entrepreneurship. It's called Entrepreneurship 101, highly recommend it. And I think that combination of online programs or online resources, along with the mentorship or the one-on-one advisory or kind of market intelligence services that Mars tries to also offer its ventures, they really go hand in hand to support entrepreneurs. But overall, I think really across the ecosystem, you mentioned the point earlier about starting a business being a lonely process, and it definitely is at the start. But being part of an ecosystem of people who have done it in the past or people who are going through those same challenges definitely makes it a much better experience.
I think I fully agree. I was going to avoid COVID for this whole thing, but I will say, like, trying to be positive about things that have come out from COVID, I would say is that it's pushed people away from being able to use geography as an excuse of why they're not getting ahead a little bit. And because more organizations are making it an online process, things are moving away from just these urbanized areas and finally getting more access to people that are farther out. And I personally believe that is key in order for things to continue to grow and move forward. Like from Canada as a whole, I just think it's really important that we find ways to make it so that no matter where I'm currently am, as long as I have the vigor to do so and absolutely the willingness to get out of my own space and be out there having questions and discussions with people, the less and less geography hopefully will make a difference so that people in rural areas aren't kind of behind the 8 ball versus feeling like they have to move into these big cities to move ahead. So we are running out of time. The only thing I wanted you to say, if anyone else, and if you don't, that's fine, but it is your opportunity because you are all in the space. If there was one thing that you could not just complain about, but one thing you could actually, kind of raise your hand up and say, if we just change this is the one thing I would get behind. Is there anything that you would, if you could right now, if there was people from within the government listening, and I think Colin Deacon's on the call, that we do want heard, that if we could just change this, it would help move the landscape of entrepreneurship in the Canadian ecosystem farther ahead. Alicia.
Okay, I'll be the first one since Doug's, you're always asking Doug to be the first one. We'll give him a break.
Let him go. We'll let him go last.
The one thing that I would say is an integrated approach on how to be successful sustainably. There are some efforts done towards that already. But what I mean is how to grow your business without actually compromising the resources of our planet, because we need to make sure that we're being successful, but we're leaving enough resources to our children, to future generations, to be so as well and enjoy the life that we've been enjoying so far, right? There is a movement that is already doing something like that is called Zebras Unite, which focus on the idea of growing zebras instead of unicorns, meaning growing businesses that are sustainable and attainable to everyone, that are still doing a lot of profit, but they have a good balance between profit and purpose. So instead of just compromising the resources and using all of them without leaving anything else to future generations.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Val?
I would say encourage partnerships and think local. We've been seeing that really starting to happen because of COVID, and it's actually turned out to be a really great thing. When we're all supporting one another within our communities from an entrepreneurial perspective, we buy, we sell, we partner together, it actually strengthens the core of where we are. And then we have strength to now partner with others outside of our community and just create that whole chain, that network, if you will, of entrepreneurs and businesses and communities. And I want to include education in there too. I really think that we could make better use of our universities and our colleges to help really build our communities.
Thanks, Val. I would say that I was going to send Ember Mack a note after all of this was over, just to say I really appreciated her comment on education and how we have to reshape our current education system so that it is actually preparing the next generations for what is in store in their future. Very interesting. Awesome. And Mohamed?
I'm going to add on to Val's point about education. I do think adding more educational content around entrepreneurship and the different methodologies around entrepreneurship is really valuable, not just for entrepreneurs, but even people who go on to join corporations or join different organizations. A lot of these approaches around business model design, customer discovery, all of that is super important for large corporations to be innovative as much as it is for startups on track to scale. So I really appreciated going to Ryerson. They have an entrepreneurship major that you can focus on and a ton of courses around entrepreneurship. So really appreciated kind of the opportunity to take part in that, and having that accessible across more schools and universities at different stages would be really, really cool.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, definitely. Doug?
Doug's last this time, so all the good thoughts have come out, but I want to, you mentioned Colin Deacon, so hi Colin, if you see us. I want to highlight what we're trying to do, and actually a lot of conversations I've had with Colin is trying to affect policymakers as well on programming and supports and things like this. So part of what I do too is work with the OECD and International Policy Group on entrepreneurship. And I think having those conversations with government and working closely with them will help us to drive this and help grow in the right way, rather than just putting programs out there, is to understand what the circumstances of entrepreneurs are and then help to influence policy. So guys like Colin in Ottawa are helping to do that because he's coming at it from an entrepreneur's perspective. And I think we need more of that in government, and to actually work with government as opposed to just taking money from government, if that makes sense. So that would be my, I don't want Colin's head to swell too much, so, but
yeah, stop now, Doug, stop now. No.
Yeah,
All right, we are going to get shut down because we've had our max. So we didn't even get into Q&A from audience, but thanks so much, everyone. I love the discussion and everyone coming out from different perspectives. Rachel, I will turn it over to you. Thank you for having all of us. And a good shout out to Rachel. Great job on all the illustrations that you had prepared for today. They're super fun and love seeing them of everyone.
Loved it. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for this. This was really insightful. All of you are amazing folks. Whenever we send out a follow-up email after the event, we'll give you some ways to get in touch with them. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. We're going to move on to the next panel now.